Thank you, Senator Crapel, for leading this effort to point out what's wrong with this $4.2 trillion reckless taxes spending spree. It's a massive government intrusion into the daily lives of American families. Under their vision for America, there isn't any aspect of life in which the government shouldn't perform a leading role. From cradle to the grave, child care to health care, college to career, federal government will be there in your lives, shaping your every decision. Their plans go well beyond shoring up the social safety net to prevent those in need from falling through the cracks. And everybody agrees that people that have need, there's a role for government. But that doesn't include 320 million Americans. No longer then will the federal government's primary role be about lending a helping hand so individuals can get back on their own feet. Instead, government would be the ultimate helicopter parent, constantly hovering regardless of need. Even wealthy households would be in line for generous handouts to procure federal government-approved child care, send their kids to a federal government-structured preschool, purchase federal government-approved health insurance on the individual market, and obtain federal government-provided paid family leave. Isn't that a staggering list of things that the Democrats are proposing in this $4.2 tax and spending spree project that they're pushing? On the one hand, my Democrat colleagues rail against the wealthy paying too little tax. On the other hand, they want to shower the wealthy with government benefits. Not to mention hand the wealthy, for instance, $12,500 to purchase a luxury electric car and make federal taxpayers subsidize the state tax bills of millionaires. Can you believe the inconsistency of their arguments? Tax the wealthy, give to the wealthy. At the same time, Democrats have decided that the best way to crack down on billionaires evading taxes is to snoop on the middle class. You just heard Senator Crapel speak to length about that. Under their proposal, every American's bank account with $600, or even if it's $10,000 of annual taxations, would be subject to the peering eyes of the IRS. Democrats are betting the promise of free grifts will be too enticing for Americans to resist. However, Americans understand anything advertised as free comes with strings, particularly if it's free from the government. There's going to be strings attached. Those strings include higher taxes today and in the future, and a loss of control over intimate family decisions. Liberal Democrats in their progressive bubble are under the mistaken impression the general public is clamoring for ever more government programs. Now, in reality, Americans have long held a healthy skepticism of big government. A recent Gallup poll shows this continues to be true to this very day. According to Gallup, I think it was a weekend poll, nearly 80% of the Americans say that they prefer lower taxes and less government. or would like to see no change in either. Only 19% said they wanted more taxes and more government. President Clinton, up until 21 years ago, the President of the United States, understood this well when in 1996 he declared in a State of Union message, quote unquote, "The era of big government is over," and then worked with Republicans on comprehensive welfare reform. Why can't those things go on today? Hopefully, President Biden and Senate Democrats come to their senses and realize this before taking our nation down the path of fiscal reunion or fiscal ruin. And I would define fiscal ruin by a Democrat by the name of Larry Summers, former Secretary of Treasury in the Clinton administration, and I think also had some posts in the Obama administration. Anyway, he told us in January, he told us in April, he told us in August, and I saw it again on television just last week, spending all this money is feeding the fires of inflation like gasoline on that fire. And we ought to learn not to go through what we did in the 70s and 80s with inflation out of control. Listen to that Democrat, fellow Democrats today. I yield the floor.